statements. Welcome everyone to this meeting of the Unified Planning Work Program Committee of the Boston MPO. I'll go ahead and get started, call the meeting to order. We'll start with the notice of non-discrimination, which reads that you are invited to participate in our transportation planning process, regardless of your race, color, national origin, including limited English proficiency, religion, creed, gender, ancestry, ethnicity, disability, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, veteran status or background. The accessibility statement reads that this meeting is accessible to people with disabilities and that Zoom products are compliant with exceptions with the following standards: Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.1, Level AA standards, and revised Section 508 standards. If you require any additional accommodations in order to participate fully in the meeting, or if you have any technical difficulties, please contact Sam Taylor of MPO staff at staylor@ctps.org or 857-702-3702 or via the chat box. Meeting guidelines state that all participants will join the meeting with muted microphones. Please rename yourself to include your first name, last name, and affiliation. After roll call, members may mute and unmute themselves. Always remain muted unless actively speaking. To participate fully in the discussion, please select the raise hand function by either clicking on the participants button at the bottom of the screen, and a window will pop up with the raise hand button at the bottom, or the reactions button in the toolbar, and then the chair will call on participants. And if you're on the phone, you can dial *9 to raise your hand. Great, we will get started with introductions. I am Derek Cravat from MassDOT's Office of Transportation Planning here, chairing the meeting today, and I'll read the roll here. Do we have anyone from MAPC? Town of Arlington, City of Boston, City of Framingham, Town of Rentham.
Rachel Benson swapped from Rentham, thanks.
Great, City of Newton.
Hi, David Kozis, representing Mayor Ruth Ann Fuller and City of Newton.
Great, Town of Norwood.
Hey, Tom O'Rourke from the Town of Norwood, representing the Trick subregion.
Great, City of Somerville. The Regional Transportation Advisory Council.
I think it's right. It's not clear.
Great, and the MBTA Advisory Board. All right, great. So welcome everyone. We will move on to the next item, which is public comments. Is there anyone present that would like to make a comment at this time? All right, seeing none. If you do have a comment during the meeting, feel free to use the raise hand function or chat in Zoom. We'll be sure to call on you. Move on to the next item, which is a summary of the March 22nd, 2024 meeting. I'll ask for a motion and second to approve the March 22nd meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right. Motion having been made and seconded, are there any comments or questions on the minutes? All right, seeing none, I will read the roll. I will vote yes from MassDOT, and I see Jim Fitzgerald has joined. Jim, are you going to be voting for City of Boston?
Absolutely. Jim Fitzgerald, yes.
Great. Rachel Benson.
Rachel Benson abstain.
David Kozis.
David Kozis, yes.
Tom O'Rourke.
Tom O'Rourke, yes.
And Leonard Diggins.
Diggins, yes.
All right, thanks everyone. Move on to the next item, which is the fiscal year 2025 Unified Planning Work Program. So before I turn it over to Srilekha, I did want to just give a quick update here on some a recent development regarding the 2025 UPWP. That just may have been brought up before, but that is that there's been some additional funds added based on funding from prior years that was not actually spent, was programmed but not spent. We refer to it as deobligated planning funding or PL funding, since if it doesn't get spent, it gets deobligated and it's available for programming in future years. So it's kind of accumulated, not only for the Boston MPO region, but for others as well, due to staffing and things like that, staffing shortages, et cetera. So when that happens, the funding kind of accumulates year to year and is able to be carried over. And some additional activities have been identified for using that funding, which we'd like to include in the fiscal year 2025 UPWP. So that way in the new fiscal year, it's just less process to do amendments and not amend the contract and so forth. If we can add these in now, it's saves that work, and these will all be included in the final version of the UPWP. So I think the total amounts to, I think it's $370,000 worth of new tasks. And I think Tegan, if you want to chime in for some more specifics, that would be great.
Yeah, when we go through Shrulika's presentation, we'll pause in a moment and I'll give some more specifics. I'll just add to the process bit though first, in case it feels, a little out of the blue. This is sort of a new process we've been engaging in with MassDOT, and MassDOT's been a great partner to come to the table to try to help us, work to figure out ways to spend down this prior funds. So MassDOT released guidance on good ways to do that back in, is it January of this year, Derek?
Yeah,
Yeah.
January at the Marpa meeting. Yep.
So we've been working to get staff input to develop a proposal to pull something together for MassDOT to then consider, because we're also asking MassDOT to come forward with the 20% matching funds for these amounts. So MassDOT's also had to do its own assessment to figure out, what can it do to also bring forward those matches. So I'll talk about the selected initiatives when we get to that point in the presentation, but just to add to that, what that means is that these are really focused on as well consultant initiatives, direct funding initiatives. And so it impacts that part of the UPWP. It's not something that we look to use to fund existing staff time, because it's a 1-year supplement. It's not an ongoing supplement to the available funds. So there might be some immediate questions of why not other studies that we've talked about staff doing being funded. And that's the reason why it's really about kind of engaging consultants on particular kinds of initiatives related to our strategic plan and otherwise.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Tegan. Yeah, good clarification there. That was a big part of the guidance. And so that was kind of the parameters there. But are there any questions on that before we jump into the overview? Okay, we can always take them at the time, when we get into more specifics as well. But for now, I'll turn it over to Shrulika to go through the UPWP and any comments received.
Thank you so much, Derek, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this meeting of the UPWP committee. I have a short presentation where I will discuss the comments we have received during the public comment period, as well as some edits to the document made by staff, and conclude by requesting your endorsement of the federal fiscal year 2025 UPWP. Next slide, please. So we received 5 comments in total, 2 from members of the public, 1 from the Regional Transportation Advisory Council, 1 from the MBTA Rider Oversight Committee, and 1 from the 495 Metro West Partnership. Comments from members of the public were generally supportive of the work outlined in the UPWP and offer some suggestions for staff to consider. There was general support for the roadway pricing discrete study and for the breadth of work the MPO is planning to undertake in the next fiscal year. Comments encouraged the study of bike and EV charging infrastructure and highlighted the planned work in performance-based planning and programming. Next slide, please. Letters additionally expressed support for increasing the evaluation of transportation projects and policies, and for the development of the Community Leadership Institute, an initiative spearheaded by our communications and engagement team. There were also general comments on the state of MBTA stations, and 1 comment disagreeing very broadly on the final slate of discrete studies chosen. Staff have responded to all comments, and the details of which could be found in Appendix B of the UPWP. Thank you to all those who commented and shared your thoughts. Whether supportive or constructive, these comments help inform the decisions we make and the conversations that we have at the MPU. Next slide, please. During the public comment period, staff often make minor changes to the document itself. These are often copy edits, changes in syntax, or adding more descriptive language and information to a given item. We additionally updated the tables present throughout the document with the most accurate contract and funding information available. So I'll pause here and turn it back to the chair and Tegan to walk us through some of the details of the obligated PL funding funded work.
Thanks, Shalika. Derek, can I jump in?
Absolutely, yeah. Go ahead. Yep.
Thanks. So just to add to what we said before, as Derek said, we made a request and ended up having an approved slate of $370,600 of additional all direct funds, PL funds that would be attributable to the direct line items within the UPWP. So these aren't, studies and things worked on by staff, but direct sort of pass-through funds to consultants or to purchase equipment. So with that overview, what we did when we put together this proposal was really focus on primarily strategic plan that we have goals to pursue that we didn't have capacity on staff to advance on the timeline that we wanted to advance them, and made proposals to bring on consultants to help us advance that work. So the areas in which we agreed and were successful in terms of advancing initiatives were in the area of identity and branding, redesigning the website, and consistent with that, and also to bring us up to date with the Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act requirements regarding web content and accessibility. We also asked and received support for developing an FTA stops model, which is a model platform developed by the FTA to help with supporting kind of transit ridership estimates to support new starts and small starts projects. So getting grants towards those projects. It also supports our travel demand model work in general. Also, we have an initiative related to doing a diversity, equity, and inclusion assessment for our agency, which we can launch the first half of in the coming federal fiscal year with these funds. And then finally, a direct purchase of eco counters. So these are the counters that count bicycle and pedestrian movements, volumes really. And so we would be able to purchase 6 additional counters, which really supplement our existing count program. And that's part of the vision for our bike and ped program. So I'm sorry to do that verbally. We just sort of worked out, the details of this. And when we do present to the board next week, we will have those on a slide. So we'll be able to have that more visible and easier to track. But I'm happy to answer questions about any of those.
Great. Thank you, Tegan and Shalika. Are there any questions on either the UPWP as a whole or the deobligated PL funding? Nope. Yep. Len, go ahead.
So I don't know if it's appropriate for me to say anything about the comments, but stop me if I'm out of bounds, okay, Derek? But the comments about me not liking the update on the previous year's work, I like that a lot. I found that extremely useful. It's almost like being a review, of what was accomplished in the previous year, and I found that very insightful. And so I would just encourage staff to keep that. But like I said, I don't know if it's appropriate to counter someone else's comments at this meeting. But that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Len. Could you go back to that slide that had the comment, just to refresh memory? Was that the comment received about, which comment was that on the?
No, well, it wasn't. I don't think it was presented in the deck here. But if you read the comments, there was one person who really didn't like that part of it, and I found that part of it very, very insightful. And I understand what the writer was getting at. There's a lot of it, but that's a good thing, and it was very insightful. In fact, I thought that it was really detailed because it really stated what had been done by staff whereas what's coming up was a little more vague. And I feel that having what we're going to do be a little more vague and then matching that up with what was done in the tail, is a really good balance. So it's kind of like saying, okay, well, this is what we said we're going to do last year. And this is what we did, and now based on that, this is what we said we're going to do in an upcoming year. So I just want to encourage staff to keep that. Could it be formatted differently so that someone would find it less confusing? Perhaps. For the person that might find it less confusing, the other person might have an issue with it. But in general, like provide more information, than less, and having that detailed assessment or statement of what was done in the previous year, I found very helpful. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Len. And that is still in there, right, Srileka? Like that section of accomplishments from prior years that's like.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, for example, in chapter 3, the tables will show like progress towards the 2020, like progress made in 2024 and the goals in 2025. And so you can kind of see the comparison of the two side by side.
Got it. Great. All right. Are there other comments or questions? Don't see any. So at this time, I will ask for a motion and second to recommend approval of the fiscal year 2025 UPWP to the MPO board at the June 20th meeting.
Rachel Benson will make that motion.
Thank you. Leonard?
Turn on the camera, not the microphone. Diggins will second it.
All right. Great. Thank you both. Motion having been made and seconded, I will go ahead and call the roll. Jim Fitzgerald.
Jim Fitzgerald, yes.
Rachel Benson.
Rachel Benson, yes.
David Kozis.
David Kozis, yes.
Tom O'Rourke.
Tom O'Rourke, yes.
Leonard Diggins.
Diggins, yes.
And I see Julia Wallers.
Yes, Julia Wallers.
Great. And I will also vote yes, Derek Cravat for MassDOT. So I believe that is everyone. So that has passed. Thank you all. And that'll be presented in the MPO next week at the MPO meeting. Okay. Well, with that, we can move on to the next item, which is members' items. Are there any member items to be brought to the committee today? All right, seeing none, we can move on to the next item, which is next meeting. I don't believe we have anything on the books right now, but if there is a need for an amendment or any other changes, we'll of course let folks know. Is that fair, Srileka? Is there anything else to add here?
No, that's correct. If anything comes up over the summer, we'll reach out to schedule a meeting. But as of now, we have nothing planned.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Well, this can be a nice short meeting then. Give folks some time back. I'll ask for a motion and second to adjourn.
So moved. Diggins.
Second, Tom O'Rourke.
All right. Say without objection, we're adjourned. So thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you at the MPO meeting next week.
Great.
Bye all. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.